today with Simon Hare, who is a sustainable beef farmer, which is a little bit out of our usual scope, but I'm leaning more into sustainability. And I thought this was a very interesting topic to talk about. So welcome, Simon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, hi, Taryn. Good to be here.
So tell me about your farm. Where is it? Where are you?
Yeah. Well, we're based in the northeast of England, which is Barnard Castle in County Durham, just where we're at.
So how big is the farm?
About 400 acres that we have, which is all grassland.
So how many cows is that? Do you say cattle? How many cattle is that? Is that the right way to say?
Something like that. So we've probably got 300 head altogether. And within that, there's about 110 breeding cows.
It's a family farm. How long has it been in your family?
Yeah, so I'll be the third generation. It's my grandfather that came here first, and I took over from my father after that.
Okay. And it was a dairy farm previously?
That's right, yes. Yeah.
And why did you make the change over to beef from dairy?
Yeah, it was probably more of a sort of a quality of life decision, really, because with dairy, you're twice a day milking, you're very tired with it. And at the time, my father was getting older, starting to slow down. So there's more being put into me, and he's looking to have to take somebody else on. We do have somebody else working for us as well, who's very good. But yeah, we still have to take somebody else on, and that decision is still very tiring. So yeah, I decided to go down the beef suckler route and the grass-fed beef, because that's something that always interested me. Because I've always been into sort of health and fitness. I always like going to the gym to train. So I learned about grass-fed beef and the benefits of that, with it being high in omega-3s and CLAs and being one of the nutrient-dense foods you can get. So I decided I want to start producing my own. So yeah, went out with dairy and went organic at the same time, and went into suckler beef.
Okay. So tell me about the sustainability changes that you've made. What makes your farm different to other beef farms in terms of sustainability?
Yes, it's more than sustainable, really, because sustainable is keeping things the same, staying in the same place. Whereas what we're doing is actually improving things. So it's more like regenerative. So we're improving the soil, we're improving nature and the wildlife and everything else that was in there. So yeah, the changes we're making, which is we use the cattle as a tool to do that, where we graze and rest it and have them to make the impact to start changing things and improving the soil and the water cycle and everything with that respect. Since we've started, like, nature's improved, there's more insects around, more birds, and more habitats for them to use.
Okay, so the cows are actually improving the environment. You're not just undoing the damage of the cows. Okay.
Yes,
right.
Yeah. The way in which we manage the cows, we move them around the land grazing, and then you rest the grass, and then when they go on their impact, they're using them to actually improve it and keep good green growing grass there to be able to do that. Right,
because grazing animals are part of a natural ecosystem anyway.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
But there's good and bad ways to graze. You graze in a better way that has more of an impact and improvement on the environment within that way.
Which is more kind of the way that animals would do it in nature. Because I mean, if you have large herds of grazing animals, like I'm from Africa, so we have, wildebeest and those kinds of things, they move around. They don't just graze one spot constantly, right? So, okay, so that's more what you're doing, more of a natural way of moving them around and grazing different areas.
Yes, that's right. What you say, yes. Because in the past they would naturally wander around the countryside on their own, but there'd be the predators there that wolves would keep them herded and keep them moving on. Whereas now the predator isn't there, so we're in a sense being the predator. We're not the predator, but we are replicating that by moving them around the various sections. And then the key impact then is to the bit of graze is then to rest that fully recover before they go back on. And that's where you get improvements within the ecosystems of the water cycle, mineral cycle, everything functioning a lot better to do that. And also resting it longer provides a better quality feed for them to then provide them better quality beef product at the end as well.
That whole cycle makes a lot of sense to me, because that's how it would work in nature. I don't know your area, but I'm assuming it's a farming area and a farming community.
That's right, yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
it's really nice, the valley that we're in.
Yeah. So are most people around you farmers, I'm assuming?
That's right, yeah.
And how are they reacting to the changes that you're making and things that you're doing differently?
Yeah, probably most people probably don't really say it. If the people think something there, they probably don't really say what they think too much in that way. And when I first changed, it was hard because my father went organic. He was always very much old school and was used to putting fertilizer on and pesticides on. Whereas that's something that never sat right with me. So it was hard in that way for him to change. So I had to go against that, because if anything went wrong, well, not went wrong, but if things happened, it was straight away blame it on organic side, where it wasn't. It was just part to do with the natural weather that was happening. Within that respect, like that, yeah.
So how did you convince your family to get on board with what you wanted to do?
It wasn't easy. I had to, I really just had to push forward and do it. It probably did cause a little bit of conflict, but I suppose I just knew that's what I had to do for my future to move forward.
The proof is in the pudding, right?
That's right, yes, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, since I've done it, I feel a lot more stronger and passionate about organic, and where I'm doing it now is over the time you learn more things about it. I feel it's definitely the way to do it. And
do you see the industry going in that direction? Do you see other people making these changes or not really?
Yeah, some are. I mean, there's more, around the country, around the world, there's some very good people doing that, that's, way up there. There are new people starting up to do it, especially with the current, like, fertilizer prices are very high and feed prices are very high. So it is making people think a bit more to make that decision. But then there'll always be the other side that believe in going down a very intensive route and doing it that way. It's just so you've got different ideas, different opinions. Yeah.
So there's going to always be people that are going to say, this is the way we've always done it and this is the way we're going to do it.
Yes, and financially for some it's still working doing it the other way. So they're going to keep doing that. It's a financial decision. Yeah.
So if somebody does want to make a change, so somebody is looking at this thinking, I do need to be going down a more sustainable route, where should they start? Like, what's step one?
Well, I suppose the first thing probably is there's courses available through different people. There's like 3LM who run holistic management courses. Then there's like Caroline Greenrod who does viticulture. And then there's Niels Caulfield. So a good thing would be to go with somebody like that to learn that at the start. Or otherwise, there's like books by Alan Savory or other books on regenerative farming. To start reading up to learn about it in that respect. And the other thing is just to get out there and do it. Because the biggest thing to do is to rest the grass. So the first thing to do is just try splitting the field up instead of grazing it all at once. Graze part of it and then have it split up with a fence to move into the next bit. So at least that first half gets rested for a while. And then you start seeing the difference and how things can change and then just learn and progress from there.
Yeah, okay. So how did you go on a course to begin this, or did you just start self-researching?
It was both. It was self-researching, things I found online and looking into things. But then, yes, I did go on a holistic management course with 3LM as well to learn a lot through there. So just over time, you naturally progress and learn more things and come across more things to progress your learning and knowledge, and still am, because I still got a long way to go from where I'm at now.
The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah.
So what's the future? So what do you want to do on your farm? Are you going to make any further changes? What do you want to do still?
Yeah, I still need to improve the soils more. They have improved a lot, but that's to improve more. And as they improve more, I can grow more grass to keep improving that side, and continually always planting trees and more hedges to improve the side there as well. But then also now I'm looking into starting to bring the schools onto the farm, to start getting them in touch with nature and to get them involved and see what happens and how things work and just understand and get down and see the soil and just be in touch with nature more.
Oh, that's lovely. That's great. Yeah, I think sustainability starts with kids. Absolutely. If we're not going to, if the next generation is not going to do something vastly different, I don't know if there's going to be a generation after that.
Yeah. It's people now making when they're buying the produce is making those decisions to buy from regenerative or sustainable practices. And then if there's more buying power there, then more people, more farmers and producers will then think, well, actually, it's going to be worth making these changes to do that.
Yeah, it absolutely matters where you spend your money, 100%. That's the way everyday people like me are going to make the biggest changes. It absolutely matters what you buy. I keep trying to get that across.
Yeah, because it is hard when you've only got a certain budget to buy what you need to get. But to buy some of the cheaper produce, it's cheaper to buy there, but there's the hidden cost of the environment further down the line.
Exactly. And it might not be the cheapest thing and it might not be the most convenient thing, but at this point, it's not really an option anymore. We're all going to have to make changes. We're going to have to make changes. It's not really going to be a choice going forward. And I think it was mentioned in our last group where we spoke, for the viewers, Simon and I go to a climate change group together. So that's how we met. Most people who know me will know that I don't eat meat and haven't. But I feel like someone like Simon, who's doing it completely differently, probably makes much larger impact on environmental change than someone like me does, just not eating meat. So that's how we're having the conversation. But somebody brought up that you can stick to your budget by having really good quality meat 1 or 2 days of the week instead of really budget meat every day of the week. So if you could eat more fresh produce the rest of the time, because that is cheaper, and then just buy yourselves a really good quality meat every now and then, like Simon's, we're all making more sustainable choices and moving away from factory farming, which we're gonna have to do. So lastly, I wanted to ask something. So because I don't know anything about farming, obviously. So you're organic and sustainable. Does that mean you don't use antibiotics? Because this is something I've been reading a lot about recently.
Yes, we do. We do everything we can to reduce the antibiotics that we need. And if a cow is sick, then yes, we have to treat her and do what we need to do. But with part of the grazing management and how we work that and rest in it, that helps to keep the need down. Because the worms, or the lungworm type of thing, the bagworms, the disease for the cattle, if you're resting that area, you can break the cycle of that. So when they come back out to graze an area that's been rested 60 to 90 days, there's less disease there and problems there. And also with the way we're improving nature helps. If you've got larger biodiversity there of insects in nature, that all helps to work to keep disease problems down. Things like dung beetles, if they're functioning properly, you see they sort of take all that away. So that helps reduce the need of having to do regular treatments within that way.
Right. So your method of farming actually reduces the need for antibiotics.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Because I know, like in factory farming, they just give it routinely, don't they? All the time.
That's right. Yeah, it's almost drip fed was to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas not at all like that. Yeah.
I guess the condensation of the animals being so close together in the factory farming versus having more space with yours, where I think they're outside all the time, the majority of the time.
Yeah.
That also is going to reduce transmission of diseases between animals.
Well, that's right. Yes. I mean, intensive because they're all inside cooped up. There's a major high risk of disease. So they have to do regular treatments like that to keep that down. Whereas in our system, they're outside to be with graze. We don't need that. We don't need to do that.
Yeah, and if one cow is sick in a factory farming environment, they're going to infect all of them because they all packed together. But if they're outside in the field, they might infect 1 or 2, but they're not going to infect all of them.
Yeah, well, it's usually just something. I mean, like ourselves, you get an infection, and you have to treat it. So it's not even something that necessarily passes on. But in the outside environment, there's a very very sort of small risk of, or well, not risk, but there's less chance of that happening.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get sick sometimes, obviously.
Yes, yeah, right. Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't avoid that. Yeah,
yeah.
You just do it when you can, but at times it happens.
So last question, do you have a book that you want to recommend, something that you think everybody should read? It doesn't necessarily have to be sustainability related.
Yes, I suppose there is. Well, probably a couple of books. I mean, there's one that I found interesting called Poisoning Our Children by Andrea Liu, which I thought very interesting, about chemicals within the system, and a lot of facts about that you don't realise and need to think about, which I thought was very,
Great. Yeah, I'm going to read that. That's right up my alley for sure.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another question that has just occurred to me? Do you have children yourself?
Yes, I've got a couple of kids, yes.
Okay, so they're going to take over the farm?
I'll have to see. I've got a daughter, she's like to be a vet, and then my son is only 7 at the moment. He doesn't know what he wants to do, so we'll see what he wants. Yeah.
I guess it's not the tradition of that generational farming. It's not quite the same as it used to be, is it?
No, it's probably not quite the same in that way. No, because there's more opportunities and different things out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going to let your son be whatever he wants to be. You're not going to tell him you're going to take over the farm.
No, he can do what he wants. If he wants to take over the farm, great. But if he doesn't, that's fine as well. Just whatever he wants to do, what's happy. Yeah.
Great. Okay, so that's it for me. Simon, thank you so much. Bye.
Cheers. Bye now.
Your support helps me work towards positive change. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.